And the story will last only 5 minutes. It's going to shock you. I said it will shock you. Huh? I said it will shock you. Let me hear you say shock. Repeat after me. Say shock. Oh my God. Today we are looking at a woman who became Kwame Nkrumah's advisor. Did you ever know that there was a woman, a white woman, who was Kwame Nkrumah's advisor? She was not an ordinary woman. Dorothy Hodgkin. Dorothy Hodgkin. Dorothy Hodgkin. Her full name, Dorothy Mary Crawford Hodgkin. Have you heard that name before? Producer is going to put out the photograph, so you will see exactly who we are talking about. My God. Today, my brother, my sister, I am more than just excited to share with you this beautiful story. The story of a woman, my God, who did all she could to give the best piece of advice to the president of the Republic of Ghana. Oh my God. My brother, my sister, I am most excited to bring you this story today. This is the woman we're talking about. Dorothy Hodgkin. Dorothy Hodgkin. My God. And Dorothy is spelled D-O-R-O-T-H-Y. Hodgkin is H-O-D-G-K-I-N. Dorothy Hodgkin. This is a white woman. She was born in Egypt, officially making her an Egyptian. Oh my God, by birth. She was born on the 12th of May in 1910, just 1 year ahead of Kwame Nkrumah. And she was born in Egypt, specifically in Cairo. That was where she was born. My brother, my sister, and at a very young age, she was just interested in school. Not just school, she was interested in science. Dorothy Mary Crawford was the oldest of 4 daughters whose parents worked in North Africa and the Middle East in the colonial administration, and later as archaeologists. So her parents were historians. My God. Dorothy came from a distinguished family of archaeologists. Her parents were John Winter Crawford, working for the country's Ministry of Education. And her mother was called Grace Mary Hene Hood. In other words, originally she was called Grace Hood. She became Grace Mary after getting married. Interesting. My brother, my sister. In the house, she was simply called Molly. Everybody knew her as Molly. This is our heroine for today. Oh my God. I'm about to tell you a story that will break your jaws. Now the family lived in Cairo, and that was where our heroine was given birth to. Hey, they returned to England time after time in order to avoid the hotter part of the season in Egypt. In 1914, our heroine's parents, in fact her mother, left her. She was only 4 years old. And her 2 younger sisters, Joanne, who was 2 at the time, Elizabeth, who was only 7 months at the time, with their Crawford grandparents near Wating, and returned to her husband in Egypt. They spent much of their childhood apart from their parents, yet they were supported from afar. It was at that point that she went more into doing so many different things. She moved around England, got to know so much about England, and then she got too interested in science. Hey. In 1921, when she was only 11 years old, Her father entered her in the St. John Lehman Grammar School in Berkles, England, where she was one of the 2 girls allowed to study chemistry because she was so interested in science. Hey, that was the beginning of a heroic nature. Only once, when she was 13, did she make an extended visit to her parents, then living in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, where her father was principal of Gordon College. When she was only 14, she spent all her time in England. Hey, she went on and on, got more interested in science, and went deep into chemical analysis, including the chemical analysis of glass tesserae. Oh my God, from the same site in Oxford, where she had picked up some species to study. Long and short story, my brother, my sister, she developed a passion for chemistry from a young age, and her mother, a proficient botanist, fostered her interest in the science. On her 16th birthday, her mother gave her a book by W.H. Bragg on X-ray crystallography. My God, X-ray crystallography. She read everything in print as long as he had to do with science. Hey, she had higher education, my brother, my sister. And she graduated in 1932 from the Somerville College, Oxford, with a first-class honors degree, the 3rd woman at this institution to achieve this distinction. My God. In the autumn of that year, she began studying for a PhD at Newham College in Cambridge, under the supervision of John Desmond Bernal. Hey, she studied pepsin and proteins. Then she also studied sterols. Sterols. My brother, my sister, remember I didn't say steroids. I said sterols. S-T-E-R-O-L-S. Oh my God. She developed some serious interest in X-ray. And then she became a research fellow, oh my God, to a number of universities. Hey. In the 1940s, one of her students was Margaret Roberts, who later became Margaret Thatcher, the Prime Minister of England. She taught her. She was a student of our heroine for today. She got interested more in science. She studied the structure of the DNA, of the double helix, oh my God, and much more. My brother, my sister, this is where the story gets even more interesting. She studied the steroid structure, the biomolecular structures, and much more. Oh gosh. And then, this is it. In 1945, when our heroine was only 35 years old, she and her colleagues, including biochemist Barbara Lowe, solved the structure of penicillin, demonstrating, contrary to scientific opinion at the time, that it contains a beta-lactam ring. A beta-lactam ring. The work was not published until 4 years later in 1949. She became the queen of penicillin. Penicillin. She became the queen. Ha! She was known all over the world. She had invented. She had discovered. She had researched and come out with more. She got married. She was soft-spoken and gentle. She inspired many more people. She discovered a lot in the world of science. My brother, my sister. In 1934, at the age of 24, Dorothy began experiencing pain in her hands, causing them to become swollen and distorted. She was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and went to a clinic in Buxton for thermal baths and gold treatments. After some treatments, Hodgkin returned to the lab where she struggled to use the main switch on the X-ray equipment due to the condition of her hands. But she never gave up. She continued to research and to make things beautiful for the world in her discovery in the world of science. Hey, she married Thomas Lionel Hodgkin, and therefore she changed the name from Dorothy Crowfoot to Dorothy Hodgkin. Then this is where the story ends. Watch this. In 1964, Kwame Nkrumah heard about this great woman making all the news around the world. Hey! All over the world. And Nkrumah decided that, the way this woman is so brilliant and the way I want to bring science to Ghana, I must poach this woman. He poached her. Nkrumah asked for her to come, and he used his charm as a handsome African president to lure her into Ghana and get her to advise him on science and how to be able to get Ghana scientified. That's my own word. My brother, my sister, that was what Nkrumah did. She became the chief advisor to Kwame Nkrumah relating to science and beyond. Hey, interesting things. She stayed in Ghana. While she was in Ghana, she was mentioned as a Nobel Award winner. She had to leave Ghana and go and pick the award, return to Ghana, and Nkrumah said, I knew that you were full of quality. Unfortunately, 4 years later, from 1962, when Nkrumah started talking with this woman until she arrived in 1964, my brother, my sister, Nkrumah was overthrown. And when he was overthrown, that was the end of it all. She returned to England with all her knowledge. My brother, my sister, she had studied so much in the world of science, including insulin, steroids, and more. She died, my brother, my sister, from disability. She died in July 1994 after a stroke, which had disabled her in her husband's home in the village of Lymington near Shifston-on-Stour in Warwickshire. Today we remember the Egyptian, British, English woman, the woman who Kwame Nkrumah brought all the way to Ghana. In fact, Nkrumah actually started speaking with her in 1961, all through to 1962, my brother, my sister. And she actually came to Ghana in 1961, even though she was on and off. But she settled in Ghana permanently, at least at the time, in 1964, and became the chief advisor of Kwame Nkrumah. Today, we remember you, Dorothy Hodgkin. Mami akakai wo ni nyame nkop na waye bi. The Egyptian, British, English woman. At the time, she was contemplating grabbing a Ghanaian identity. She loved Nkrumah, and Nkrumah gave her the chance to be able to explore more. Today we remember you, Mami. Uniyaminko. Mami YB. Students, did you ever know that Nkrumah's advisor had ever been a white woman? Dorothy Hodgkin. You never knew. My producer said, Dabi. I didn't know either. This is why the African history class is most important.